Something happened, my video camera cut off, so this is part two. So basically, I'm just really tired of Joe just going on and going on about, why he's so hurt when really he could fix this situation by having a conversation with Teresa. And it really seems like this is production really trying to blow this situation up to really be more than what it really is. Because the truth of the matter is, it does seem like Teresa is a focal point of Joe and Melissa's storyline. And there's so many things on the show that they can be talking about besides Teresa, because Teresa is playing a very well-crafted long game. She's not doing anything antagonistic, towards Melissa and Joe, because she knows that at the end of the day, she's going to sweep back around on episode 8 or 9 and really give them the getcha gotcha, because she knows what good television is and she knows how to draw things out because she can't let go of her grudge, right? So I hope this is the last episode where Joe Gorga is sitting there complaining about, I don't want this, I'm tired of this, I'm so hurt, when you can just really fix this situation, right? So now we get to Guys Night, and I was very, very excited about Guys Night because, again, I enjoy the guys far more than I typically enjoy the women because they're more emotionally intelligent and their conflict resolution skills are pretty good, right? As we'll see with this whole episode. So they're at this burger joint and they're all getting together, getting ready to do stuff, about to eat, and because they haven't seen Frank. Frank's been in the hospital. Evan's there. Danielle's husband, I forget what his name is. I want to call him Joey, but I'm sure his name's not Joey. We'll call him Joey now. And Fuda shows up, who is Danielle's husband. No, Fuda is Rachel's husband. Anyway, he comes with a bag of tricks, calling them high-key old or whatever with his adult diapers, his Pepto-Bismol, or whatever like that. And all the guys are arriving. And it's just really jovial, whatever. They're just busting each other balls. They're initiating Fuda and Joey into the group or whatever, making them do shots. So, of course, Louis is the last person to arrive because production's okay, this is going to be your moment. You're the last person to arrive. So, anyway, Joe Gorga starts going in about how Melissa's parents weren't invited to the wedding, right? Now, it was interesting because everybody had a very different reaction than I initially did, because what I guess from watching the episode, they're this is a very cultural thing to do. You invite the in-laws to the wedding, especially now considering how friendly or nice and kind Melissa's parents or Melissa's mother was to Joe's mother. So I did it about face. I was okay, if this is a cultural thing and culturally, they should have been invited, I'll side with them, because universally all the guys are they should have been invited. So then Joe Gorga goes on and starts to try to put 20 on 10, right? So he starts getting all upset, and then Louis shows up, and then Louis pretty much is so what's up, right? It's what's going on? And he's well, Melissa's parents weren't invited. And Louis lets it slip. It was look, I told Teresa, your sister's 50 years old. There's no me telling her what to do. And Joe Gorga does something that I think is kind of interesting. He places the responsibility on Louis to fix and change Teresa's mind, which is very interesting because it's the same thing that Teresa does to Melissa, right? So Teresa blames Melissa, right, and expects Melissa to, corral her brother. Joe Gorga expects Louis to corral Teresa when everybody in this equation knows that Joe and Teresa can't be corralled, right? They ain't gonna do shit they didn't want to do, right? But so it's a way of you not really being involved, because the fact is, as soon as you found out that Melissa's parents weren't invited, you should have picked up the phone and called Teresa. Where was that scene, right? Where was that scene? That would have been a better scene than this whole bar shenanigans where Joe's putting 20 on 10. Because all they do is pick up the phone. Hey, I heard you didn't invite Melissa's parents to the wedding. Teresa could be I can barely stand your wife or whatever. But see, that's how you have people accountable, and that's why communication is important. Everyone's playing telephone with a cord this long, and it's going back around and back to the person instead of having the conversations, right? And so Joe and Louis are going at it, and Joe's getting really mad, and Joe Gorga's I don't know if I want to have a conversation with Teresa, because, I'm just scared of being hurt again. Because I do believe Joe was really authentically hurt when Teresa called him a bitch boy at the reunion, right? I don't think that hurt his ego. I think that hurt his feelings, right? To have Teresa just come out of, because Teresa's tongue is reckless and it is dangerous, right? And the fact is, it's kind of like that little moment at the end of Kill Bill. Could you do what you did? Of course not. But could you do it to me? And I think that Joe realized that all these shenanigans he's seen his sister do to other people can be done to him. And I think that was the most hurtful of the thing. So then Louis decides to elevate the conversation and be the mature person. Goes, well, what would you have me to do? What can make the situation better? And then Joe's like, well, you can have a conversation with Teresa. He's like, look, I'm in the house with your nieces and nephews, and they told us this about the story that Melissa's out here telling people that y'all were here holding her down, and that they wouldn't have eaten without you all. And, they're going back and forth from that recollection. And Joe kind of backpedaled and pussy popped and recast what Melissa said. And Louis was like, well, the nieces here are saying that ain't really the truth, right? So it would led me to believe that Melissa and Joe may have put 20 on 10 about how much they were standing in and holding Teresa and her family down, right? Which I was like, ooh, that's not a good look, because say I want to say about them kids, they ain't telling no lies about who was there and who wasn't there, right? Because I believe at the moment at which Teresa was in jail and Joe was home, they would have been receptive and happy to have some sort of family there helping them and getting them through this process, right? So I kind of have to be like, ooh, that's just a really bad thing to lie about or to exaggerate about, because not only is the subject matter tasteful, you have children involved who are going to look at that and be like, why are you telling whole ass lies about this, right? So anyway, and what also was important about this whole discussion is, like, as they're arguing, the guy's like, hey, let him talk, and looking for conflict resolution. And when Joe Gorga wanted to hit under the belt and not call Louis a man, the guys are like, foul, don't attack his manhood. This type of conflict resolution that you see with the guys is what I wish the women could literally learn from, right? Because the women like to go for histrionics and fanfare and not substance. I'm not saying there won't be another disagreement with the guys. Every season there is. But the way in which they can confront the issue, get to the root of it, and at least come to a potential resolution and not let it fuck up their whole evening is something the women of this show could really learn from. Because I bet you them burgers were ate, them shots were done, them mozzarella sticks were eaten, the whole night, probably at the end of the night, they're like, mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay, fine. Now, it's going to be interesting at the next episode how Joe retells the story, right? Because they got to go back and tell the story of what happened, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see how Joe kind of tells this story to Melissa about what happened. Because at the end of the day, we got a little preview that he's calling, Teresa calls him, and Louis writing notes like, so you want to make peace? Teresa, I think Louis just needs to disengage from trying to get into the battle of the Gorgas, because again, you're going to end up being a casualty anyway. Teresa don't need no notes. Teresa knows what to say to her brother, right? Teresa knows Joe for his works, right? And so the fact of the matter is that they know how to resolve this. They just have to agree to let shit go, right? And the question is, what is more important, being right or being connected as a family, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the question, right? Because you could be right and then you could not have your sister in your life. You could be right and not have your brother in your life, right? So the question that they have to answer is, what's more important, And for me, being right is not as more important than having people in your life. You have to just let some shit go. But there's also television and contracts and money to be made and being wrong, right? So that's why I keep saying that Gorgas have to decide to stop hawking their family for television, because you're just making the wounds worse. You're not cleaning it out. You're not able to bandage it, let it heal, because every 12 months, the same wound is being attacked time and time and time again. So anyway, that's episode 3. Sorry for the 2 parts or whatever like that. That's just happened. So that's pretty much the crux of it. I will see you guys later for another episode of Real Housewives of New Jersey. This has been such a great kiki. I'm literally enjoying it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, drop that in the comments. Let me know what you all are thinking about this, right? Because I recognize my perception of things may not always be the most correct or the most accurate. So I really want to know what you guys think about this whole situation, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.